Hello there, welcome to Tyke Talks. It's New Year's Day morning. Jean's up with the family, so I've got a quiet morning. So I thought I'd answer a question I was given on the comments, and the question came from foreigner making money in the Philippines. And he mentioned inspirational, that a man of my age would come to the Philippines. Well, I suppose everybody's inspirational to somebody, but that's not how I see myself at all. And he wanted to know a bit about my background. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm doing a YouTube channel, and people are curious, and I'm happy to give a little bit of background. But obviously I'm not going to give my life story. Life story be too bloody boring. So his question was a bit of background, and so here goes. I'm 75-year-old. I was born in 1948, March 1948, which was 3 years after the war, so after the Second World War, so I'm a baby boomer. My father came back from the war and he was an agricultural worker. So we were very poor as a family. I didn't realise that at the time, but when I look back and my siblings look back, we didn't have a lot at all. But we had a very happy family, very supportive family, a loving mother and father, and all us kids stuck together. So yeah, I didn't feel deprived one little bit as a child. I had a wonderful childhood. But when you look back, you realise how hard it was. But at the time it was wonderful. I've got a bit of paper here and made a couple of notes. So I was born in the East Riding of Yorkshire, little place called Halsham, which is just inland from Witherinsea and along the Humber bank from Hull. So I was born in the East Riding, and we finished up in the North Riding at a place called Warren Percy, which is, if you Google it, it's a famous place as a medieval village. Now, that house you'll see if you did Google it is where we lived. And I started school there, so I started my education such as it was in the North Riding. Then we moved to the West Riding, and I did most of my schooling in the West Riding at Huddersfield, just outside Huddersfield. I think I was 6 years old when we moved to Huddersfield. I'd started school at 5 anyway. As far as I can remember, I only went twice, because my brother Dennis didn't like school and it was his job to take us. So we always got diverted chasing rabbits or whatever. And at Huddersfield I went to school. I went to the infant school. I might have still been 5 or I might have been 6, I don't know, can't remember. So I didn't really get on with school, and the school certainly didn't get on with me. So I left at 15. In actual fact, my birthday was at Easter, and Easter changes each year, and they told me I couldn't leave at Easter because I was 14 when the school broke up or something. So I left anyway, and I started work as an apprentice butcher. I went down the slaughterhouse on a Monday when the butcher's shop was closed. They used to close on a Monday for slaughter day until I started college, and then I went to college. And my wage was £4 a week. And my mates were working in the mills, the textile mills, and they were earning 8, 10, 12, £14 a week. So I left that and I went into a spinning mill, sewing the tapes, what drive the spindles on the spinning frames. They used to break and it was my job to replace them. And from there I finished up weaving textiles. But I was never really happy working. I never really liked working at all for other people. And, I didn't get much out of the jobs at all other than the money. That's all I went for. So I then joined the army. I was 19, I think, when I joined the army. And I came out of the army, I got another job in uniform. And then at about 29-year-old, I went self-employed. And I've been self-employed all my life. I've always been happy working for myself. Sometimes I made some good money, sometimes I didn't. But if you, when you're working for yourself, if you don't make the right decisions, you don't fail. You just have to work harder or change. It wasn't making money easily all my life. It was struggling all my life, really. But I did make good money at times, which allowed me to prosper a little bit. Now, some of the jobs I did when I was self-employed, I had a cafe bakery. Before that I was on the street markets selling whatever. But the cafe bakery I started making money, and I put machines in there, video games. This is when there was no video games on computers. There were no computers, generally speaking, in people's houses. And I made very good money with machines. And I got a machine license, and I was putting one-arm bandits in pubs in the UK, pool tables, jukeboxes, all that sort of thing, and video games. Eventually the video games came to an end because everybody had a computer and they're finished. But yeah, I made good money on them. And then at 50-year-old I went to Australia. And beautiful country, Australia. And I did various jobs in Australia. I started off as a Jim's mower, which was a franchise, mowing gardens, lawns, collecting rubbish, all that sort of thing. And from there I got a skip bin, collecting rubbish with skips on the back of the truck. And both these jobs I made a wage, not tremendous money, but I got by. And then I bought a farm at Kerrang, and it had a piggery on the farm, so I carried the contract going off the fellow who bought it off, and had a piggery with 600 head of pigs, just fattening pigs, going them out to a Singapore company. I can't remember the name of the Singapore company. I think it's Q or something like that. And I also had about 1,000 sheep on that farm, 450 acres. The pigs were profitable because I just got more or less a wage. I got so much for keeping them pigs. When the pigs came in, they came on a B double, 600 weaners, but it took 3 B doubles to take them away when they're 80. They used to like them at 80 kilos, but very often they got to 100 kilos. So that was good, and I enjoyed that very much. It was getting back to my roots when I was very young, and my father was an agricultural worker. But that came to an end because of drought, and the firm in Singapore was finished up because of the high cost of feed. And it was a big firm. They had 2 feed mills, one in Victoria and one in New South Wales. But of course they had to buy the ingredients in to mill it. So the drought affected the feed price for them as well. And at one stage we were losing 60 Australian dollars a pig. So they had to cut back. And they closed one feed mill in Victoria, and people like me who were out of contract, we had to finish. So I didn't give up then. I went into rabbits, and I used half the piggery to farm rabbits. And I got that going, and that was going all right. But the slaughterhouse I was selling the rabbits to, he packed in, and I couldn't find another market for the rabbits. So I cut right back, and I think I had about 30 rabbits, 30 does, which I did well with them 30 does, because the farm was up for sale, and the fella came round and he liked the idea of farming rabbits, and he had a stock of 30 does. And I don't know how many cages I had, but I had cages for 300 or 400 rabbits. And that sold the farm for me. So I got out quite good. And then I bought another farm, or a small holding as we'd call it, down Yarram, and I think that was 11 or 12 acres. But all the time, all the background to this, my marriage was coming to an end. So I finished up, I went back to England, and I bought a boat on the rivers, canals, and that's where I lived during the pandemic, or scamdemic, would be more accurate, I think. And I got an hernia there. I'd had it for a couple of years, but I thought I could manage it, but it started coming to an end. And of course all the hospitals in the UK were shut down. I went to emergency, and I got turned away. So not to be stuck, I went to Lithuania and got the operation done there privately. I forget the cost of it now, but it wasn't a great deal. So I gradually got fit and well again, and I thought, well, I'll come to the Philippines. I was going to come before the scamdemic, but I couldn't get in, obviously. And I managed to get in through Cebu into a quarantine hotel. If you went to Manila, you just got turned round at that stage of the game. So I managed to get into the Cebu, and I got talking to a young lady here, and one thing led to another, as the saying goes. And here we are, doing what I'm doing. Now, coming here I was 74 years old when I came here. It's like when I went to Australia, I was 50 years old. People said to me, "You're too old to go to Australia." That's nonsense. Now, if people say you're too old to come to the Philippines at 74 years old, they've got a point. That's their opinion, I don't agree with it. Because my way of thinking, you've got two choices in life when you get older, or old, or call it what you want. You can sit at home, wherever home is, Some people in later life are very active mentally, physically, and they do all sorts of things, and they go all over the place. So it doesn't apply to everybody. But a lot of people, when they get old, and this doesn't apply to me, I don't think, they're not so mobile, they're not so mentally quick anymore, and I'm not as mentally quick anymore. And they sit at home watching telly. They're not physically capable of doing very much, so they sat around waiting for God. And indeed, I think there's a lot of able-bodied people sat at home waiting for God. And that's a choice you have when you're in your 70s. You can sit at home waiting for God, or you can carry on living. And I'm carrying on living. That's my choice. So whether I'm too old to be doing what I'm doing, that's up to you. You form your own opinion. So that's a brief history. Yeah, the other thing, and this is, I've no interest in making money, really, anymore. I want to make a profit. But money doesn't have a lot of meaning for me, providing I've got enough to look after myself reasonably well, a bit of spare money in the bank in case there's any medical emergencies or problems out there. This is very definitely a hobby farm for me. But a hobby farm has to make a profit, and when I leave here, I would want this to carry on, so I need to make sure that the financial side of the business is enough for it to carry on. And yeah, the last point I would make, which might be of interest to some, and it's how I feel, and I know it's how a lot of other older people feel. You have your own family, and you work all your life for your family. Same as Filipinos does, any culture. And that family grows, and eventually moves out, empty nesters and all these terms of things. And you've gone from being the centre of the family, along with your wife. It's not just a man thing. And the children leave, and there's a big void there. And then grandchildren come along. And it's not a case of you're not wanted anymore, but you're not needed anymore the same as what you were. And for me, that left a big gap. I think I might cut this bit out. I'm digging a hole here. Yeah, but there is a feeling of, for me anyway, not being needed anymore. And whereas here in the Philippines, in the situation I am, I'm needed again, and that's a good feeling. I know I'm still wanted within my own family, but that's a difference. So I'll have a look at this, and I'll decide whether to leave this in or take it out. So anyway, that's a brief history, and that's about as much as I'm prepared to divulge. So if you like this video, find it interesting or whatever, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to ding dong the bell. See you later.